is. Listen, I'm just here to let you know that behind every driver on the track is a story of love, sacrifice, and resilience. This next conversation is about raising a pro and the women who make that possible. Best friends, this segment is brought to you by NASCAR. Yes, we all love NASCAR. So please welcome NASCAR Phoenix Raceway President Latasha Causey, driver LeVar Scott, and mother Sonia Scott and Samantha Caruth to the main stage.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? All right, we got to get the energy up here. We're so excited to be here. I am Latasha Causey. I am the president of Phoenix Raceway and just truly honored to be here with LeVar Scott, his mom, Sonia Scott, and Raja Caruth's mom, Samantha Caruth. So we are going to have a conversation about Black motherhood, but as well, just motherhood within NASCAR, the sport, and all the things that you all have been doing and preserving and just really just relentlessly out there making sure that we have these young, beautiful Black men like LeVar Scott out there and just successful. So were you guys ready to get into it? All right, perfect. Very good. All right, so we're just gonna jump right in. And Samantha, I'm starting with you because we really want to know where it all began. You know, so talk to us a little bit about Raja. Raja has a very unique and different story in comparison to most NASCAR drivers and their history of being involved in the sport. So talk to us.
Absolutely. So if anyone has a little one at home, you know, sometimes boys, they love cars, they love planes, they love trains, and it's just what they're interested in. Well, my child saw the Disney Pixar movie Cars, and it stuck. So he did all the other things that they typically do, play soccer, ran track, play basketball, schoolwork, all of that, but NASCAR just was his focus as his passion. At 16, he said, I'm going to do this for my career. And his dad and I looked at him and said, we know nothing about this. We don't know where to start. I said, this is not real. I haven't seen any drivers like him in the sport. Is this a place for us? And we said, well, how are you going to lay this out for us? So he decided to start on iRacing, like simulator. Sometimes we think of it as video games. And he started there and then set a pathway to then eventually get into a development program, which LeVar was also a part of, and then eventually get into a car. And now from that day to now, he's 24. He is living his dream in real time.
Yes, I love that. And he started on iRacing at 16 years old. And we know that a lot of NASCAR drivers start very early, really, really young, but it's also generational, right? It comes through their family. So you can confirm that no one in the Caruth family was a NASCAR driver.
Not near one of us.
Okay, perfect. Well, very good. Well, Sonia, talk to us a little bit about LeVar and how he got started in NASCAR and in racing.
So, for LeVar, for the longest time, we supported his passion and watched him do what he loved to do. It wasn't until we got a call from Rev Racing that we knew that his hobby could be more than a hobby, but an actual opportunity, a clear path to racing. And I knew from there, all he needed was a chance. So when they invited him to compete in the combine, I knew that's all what he needed was just to have a chance to show what he had.
Yeah, absolutely. And LeVar, how long have you been racing now?
So I'm 22 now, and I started racing when I was 5 years old officially, but got pushed around in the race car when I was 3 and 4. So for a very, very long time.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, talk to us a little bit now. I am, part of the NASCAR family as well. And when I am out there at all of the races, right, we are like a huge family, right? We all travel around. We have 38 race weekends for those who do not know. And so you're on the road every weekend. And so when I see you all, it's kind of like me and my entourage, right? I roll deep, right? We black, so we roll deep, right? But when I see you all, and especially, I mean, I see the Caruso all the time. You know where they are, but the Scotts, right? So you guys definitely roll deep. And so, LeVar, talk to us a little bit about that and your support system. You have multiple siblings, you have, aunties, you have everybody, right, that is out there, and they are there supporting you. So talk to us a little bit about that support system.
Yeah, it's amazing to have that support. Growing up, racing was always a family sport for us. My grandpa built my race cars. My mom, my grandfather would take us to the racetrack, and me, my brother, my little cousins, my sister tried it. Everybody with the Scott name has raced at some point in their lives. And it all stemmed from my mom and my grandfather, their love and passion for the sport. So now at this level, a lot of races, my family comes and supports me still, whether it's, Dover, Pocono, or Daytona. You're going to see probably 40 people there that has a LeVar Scott shirt on, and they're my family. And it means a lot. They're really dedicated. In every single race that I compete in, they all watch, and every single one of them texts me, "Good luck, I love you, I'm going to be watching." So it's really cool, and I definitely would not be here or anywhere close to here without obviously my mom, but my grandfather and everyone in my family. Right, they support me in different ways.
Absolutely. We know that it takes a village, right, for just to raise kids in general, but certainly to support them as they're, working on their craft. And so, Samantha, I want to come back to you. I obviously have gotten to know each of these drivers personally and do a lot of work with them, and both of them are just tremendous young men. So talk to us a little bit about what does it take to raise a pro, because each of them, both LeVar and Raja, have just truly risen to fame, and they are not where they're still on their journey, right? But their journey right now, it's just amazing to see. So talk to us a little bit about what does it take to keep them humble? What does it take to, do that and make sure that they are just really great people, because they are both phenomenal young men?
Thank you, Latasha. So just what LeVar said, it takes a whole village, the family out at the track. For me, I have one sister, but I have many sisters and dear friends, and they are Raja's aunties. So they roll deep. They are there either in person at the track or they're watching online, and they are sending messages, and they are loving on him near and afar, from near and from far. And so we can't do it without our community. So it's our biological family, it's our extended family, our family. It's all the support that we see everywhere. And it's also about Raja, I think, and LeVar to understand that they don't do it alone. They come with their family, their extended family. They also come with their community. And so my son says, I'm a driver, I'm black, I have a Caribbean background, but I also know how important it is to be here. And so it's not lost in him when he talks to younger ones and remembers that he was that kid who was a fan, that it's as important to him as what he does on the track and off the track and just representing himself. And as mom, I just want to make sure his heart is intact and he is not just physically safe, but also emotionally safe and strong. And that if this changes tomorrow and he's not in a race car on driving and watching on TV, that his soul is still intact. So that's my job as mom.
Yes, I love that his heart is still intact. Yes, let's give it up for that. I love that. And you feel that on a regular basis with you all and your family and just your tightness. And, as you said, mentally, all of those things with Raja. I mean, again, they are both just amazing young men. So, Sonia, really the same question to you as you're thinking about raising this pro. What does that mean to you? And what have been the signatures or your staples as you have been raising LeVar Scott?
My signatures and staples.
Yes, to raising a pro.
So, as a parent, I feel that it's my job to fuel his belief to know that his biggest dreams are in reach,
Yes.
but also to keep him grounded in his work ethic.
Yes. I love that. I love that. We know you are grounded in your work ethic. Do you take any days off? When do you get a day off, LeVar?
I don't really take days off, and a lot of that comes from her. watching her grow up, she never has a day off. Yesterday she was in Chicago at my race. I flew in this morning to be here. She flew in this morning to be here. I know she's going to fly home tomorrow and go straight to work, and I'm going to do the same thing when I get back to Charlotte. So, growing up, I was up early to go to work with her because we have a family business at home, and so I would see the sacrifice that she would make for herself and for her family, but it would lead down to us because she would go to work every day and leave work and take us to a racing practice or a wrestling practice every single day. I have siblings, right? So, I have goals and dreams, but my siblings have goals and dreams too that she had to kind of manage and help out. So, she's never had a rest day for the past, probably 30 years.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for reason for me to have them right now as well.
Yes, I love that. I am a witness to all of your races. Your mom is there, but she's not just there. She's like out there with the headset on, and she's like doing her thing, right? Like she's the boss out there on the LeVar Scott team, right? And so she's out there.
Yeah, my mom is way more dialed in than people realize. Like, you can see her now. She's just trying to smile and laugh, but when we leave the racetrack and we have our talks and debriefs, like she knows what's going on and what's happening, and she heard what people were saying, and we're going to talk about it. So, and actually somebody just said that to me this week. Like they were so like kind of impressed with her, how like she hears all the positive and negative, but like her emotions or her face never changes, right? Yeah. But she knows what's going on, but she's just happy and happy all this is happening, but she's dialed in.
Yes, honestly, if you guys didn't look the same, when I first met her, I thought she was part of the LeVar Scott team because she was all dialed in and knew everything. So I love that. Now, you talked a little bit about sacrifices, right? And we know that this is not easy. This is not a walk in the park every day. I just said we have 38 race weekends, but people also don't know what it takes in order to even get on the track. Sponsors, right? All the things that it takes to be out there. So, Samantha, can you talk to us a little bit about the sacrifices that you all have had to take in order for Raja to get to where he is?
Absolutely. I mean, it starts with the first summer that he got into the development program, and we live in D.C., and there's no racing in D.C., and the program was in North Carolina. And my husband and I were like, are we doing this? Are we figuring this out? Okay, I guess we're packing up and we're going to North Carolina for a few months and pinching all the pennies and making it work and tagging along my daughter. So little sister was like, I guess I'm here. So I think it's not lost on us that it's a whole family commitment. It is a full-time job. My husband was in Chicago with my son racing in LeVar last night. That's why he's not here. It is a full family commitment. And so it has become our family business. But it is our joy to be supporting him.
Absolutely. Like you said, you have a daughter as well. And then Sonia, for you have 5 kids. And so talk to us a little bit about what your biggest sacrifice has been as LeVar has navigated to where he is.
So although there are sacrifices, it's definitely a blessing to be able to make them.
Yes.
The biggest sacrifice, I would just say, is really just LeVar growing up, like missing different events and different experiences because everything revolved around racing. Luckily, with his family and our village, anything like we have control over planning, like it's always planned around his schedule. Then and still.
Yes, I love that. So LeVar, talk to us about what's the biggest sacrifice that you appreciate the most from your mom and your family? And don't get emotional because then I'm gonna start getting emotional.
Yeah, I would say there's never been an off day for her or for him.
Yes, absolutely.
There has never been an off day for her or for, anyone in my family. I work very hard to be here, but I say this all the time because I really mean it. There was no way without her, my grandfather. They work extremely hard, and there's a lot of personal. My mom, she rarely ever gets her nails done, her hair done. There's rarely little she does for herself to make sure that I can live my goals. So there's a lot of small things that they do that I see, and I don't say it often, but I know it's there.
Yes, I love. Let's give it up for the Scots and let's for the fact that LeVar and his mom are on a panel together. So Sonia does not do panels. She does not do speaking engagements, and so it's taken a lot for me to keep myself together up here as well as they're up here getting emotional because it is a real thing for you and what you have done, both of you, for your children, for your sons to be out there, to be in a sport where we are actually not. We are not there on a regular basis. And so not only are you navigating them being in their sport that they would like to be in, but you're also navigating the representation, the fact that we are not actually represented. And so let's talk just a little bit about that and that importance. And so that is why it is so important. And we're so all emotional because as we are all here sitting here together, we have all become a family because we have to support one another because we're not out there, right? And so Samantha, if you could talk a little bit about just being black, right, in the sport and the importance of representation.
Oh, so important. So when we first started and Raja was racing on small tracks in less urban areas, and we were the only people who looked like us out at the track. And maybe the first time we went to the track, the people who worked there would look and go, and then he would get on the track and they go, and then we go back again. Oh, those must be the Caruths because there was no other family. And so each time he would show up and they would say, I would hear sometimes folks with a deep Southern accent, oh, he can drive. And so he represented himself well. And we would just quietly move in the spaces, show up, meet everybody, talk to everybody. And then all of a sudden, people were familiar with us. And then over time, as he moved up, LeVar can probably speak to this too, we realized that as you move up in the sport, there are very few black drivers. That's what people see on TV. But there are a lot of black people that work in this sport. There are engineers, there are media experts, there are communications folks, there are the pit crew members that are all former professional athletes or college athletes. And they are higher ups and VPs and presidents at NASCAR. And you have Latasha Causey right here, who is the president of the Phoenix Raceway in the state of Arizona. So we are representing, we are in those spaces. And even when I remember when we started and we were like, we're not in Kansas anymore. There's not a lot of people like us. It's just a reminder, wherever we move, we belong there.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. Wherever we are, wherever we move, and whatever we do, we're there because God intended us to be there, and we're there because we're supposed to be. So, yes, I appreciate that. And LeVar, I want to come to you about representation. You know, one of the first events that I ever did as I started 4 years ago, you were one of my first phone calls, and you went out to a high school predominantly black and brown kids, right? And you and Roger were there, and you guys looked like high schoolers, right? You looked at the time, right? You guys were young. You weren't as young as they were, but you guys were very young and race car drivers, and they were so in awe of both of you. And so talk to us a little bit about just that representation and what that actually means to you as the driver.
Yeah, I would say it means a lot to me and Raja. Back when we did that event together back in Phoenix a few years ago, I would say even, that was, I think, 2023, and me and Raja, we've been tight since like 2019. And I would say since 2020, when we got on the same team together, we've always said, like, if me and you stay together, like, we can literally change the whole game for like the rest of NASCAR, right? And we said it to each other. I mean, we have conversations about this way more than people think, like weekly, because we know exactly what we do and how we handle ourselves on and off the track that's going to affect the next generation coming up. And we both prioritize, kind of keeping everyone in the youth engaged, whether it's answering certain. So all really DMs that, could help another driver coming up, or, doing different events around the country 24/7 to kind of, show what racing is and motorsports, and, not necessarily being a driver, but just being within motorsports. There is a career and a path here for everyone. There's a career and a path here that if you want to succeed in it, you can. So we take it very serious, and it's something we talk about a lot of how to be better at it and what to do differently, because we know what we do now is definitely going to affect the next group of drivers coming up.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But now I'm going to keep it with you for just a second, LeVar. So we mentioned a little bit about community. Talk to us a little bit about what happens beyond the track, right? So what do you do one in your downtime when you have downtime? But what do you do to prepare, right, to be on that track for 38 race weekends or for as many race weekends as you are, right? What do you do to prepare, and what is it that's important to you outside of the track?
Yeah, well, like you said, me and like Roger, we're racing 33 weekends out of the year, so there's not much downtime to it. And every single race that we're going to, it's a completely different track. Cars are different, so it's a lot of times going to the shop and getting inside the seat and making sure the seat's fitting right. You have to go to the simulator and kind of prepare for that weekend. So in season, which is from February to November, the downtime isn't really there as much as some would like. But it's a lot. When you're outside the race car, someone like myself, it's working on your brand, right? Trying to get sponsorships. When you're not at the racetrack driving, you're at home on your simulator trying to get better for a race car driver, right? So I always say there's 6 things that if I'm not doing something at a certain point, I can be doing something else, right? And that's like 6 of those things that keep you busy throughout the week as a driver. But throughout the off year, I like to travel home to New Jersey and spend time with the family because, right now I think we're in July. I've probably been home twice for about 3 days. So it's not a lot of time with my whole family. So I prioritize them when I'm not at the racetrack or getting prepared for a race.
Yes, absolutely. So, Sonia, let's talk to you a little bit about that. You're on the road, right? Just as he is as well. And so, what is important to you too during the off season? Like, what do you do when you're not out there on the track?
It's always something behind the scenes. There's never an off season.
I agree with that. A lot of people always say when we're not racing, right, those couple of months that we're not, they're always like, well, what do you guys do? Nothing? You guys on vacation, or is it quiet? No, we're getting prepared, or we're taking just a little time to get prepared for the next season. Well, tell us, Sonia, what do you like to do then for fun? What's the fun thing that you like to do when you're not out there on the track following LeVar around?
So if I'm not at the track following LeVar around, one of my other kids definitely has an event or something they would like to do. So I definitely find something else, fun to do.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And Samantha, talk to us too as well. As you're thinking about the importance of off the track, I mean, you and I have talked about this quite a bit of, just the exposure, experiences, brand, all of those types of things. What is it that you're doing when we're not on the track and, to ensure not only Raja is prepared, but the Carruth family is prepared as well?
Absolutely. LeVar did mention that he's in the gym every day, and they're physically training and mentally training and preparing. So there's so much that goes into it, including media and conversations and interviews, raising the visibility of the sport and showing that there are Black men in the sport. So for our family, my husband is on the job full-time. He has 2 full-time jobs. He is a professor at an HBCU, Howard, and he is also full-time working to raise sponsorship so that Raja can race full-time in his career. So it is really an important sport. So it's not like, I think, the NBA or the NFL. If you're super talented, you get signed to a team, and then almost everything is taken care of. You still have to raise sponsorships and raise money to be in a car. So it is a full-time job. And our family is really focused on supporting Raj in everything he does. So he knows that he has a backup. If he's tired, he still has to go and do the next thing. He knows that we're all still here. So it's our immediate nuclear family, but it's also his grandmother. He will still take time to send a text to his grandmother, and and also all of his cousins supporting him. And just he knows that his whole crew is behind him. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. Again, I think on TV, people turn on the TV and see the races happening, but so much happens behind the scenes to get to the racetrack. And so as a family, it's our commitment to not just support him, but also support everyone else who's working to support him so that they know that we are good partners and always there representing and being positive at all times. Make sure that this dream is still happening and can go as far as possible.
Yes, Absolutely. Well, you know, LeVar, I always ask you this question because any opportunity we get to sell the sport, we have to sell the sport. But Samantha mentioned this a little bit earlier, is that, you know, a lot of people think if you're not a NASCAR fan, you've never been to NASCAR, you think that we are not there, right? And that we're not actually represented. You mentioned it, right? We have leaders of various levels. We have pit crew members, but we also have the experience, right? So when you go to each track is unique. So LeVar, you know, the question is, why would somebody want to be a NASCAR fan? Why would somebody want to be a LeVar Scott fan? So talk us through what it's like and why they should, you know, support NASCAR and you specifically.
Yeah, I think about that question a lot because I always try to see if I wasn't a driver, how would I, feel going to the racetrack and, see all the different experiences. And, I asked a lot of my peers that, come to the racetrack for the first time this year, especially new sponsors, like, how was it? How did you enjoy it compared to other sports? And I've never got a negative feedback, not one negative feedback, because there's no sport where you're so immersive into things, whether it's the fan zones or you're inside the racetrack with the VIP passes and get to talk to all the drivers who are walking right by you and sign all autographs, and you hear them start up the loud cars, and you literally see cars going 200 miles per hour with 40 other cars in the track for 200 laps, right? Like and you're right there. There's no other sporting event or anywhere close where you get to see that, right? Even the racetrack's infrastructure. Look at Phoenix, right? It's beautiful. It's just a great place to be, and everyone there is really, really cool. Like all the pit crew guys and the team members, they work really hard. That when they're not actually pitting the car, they're getting the kids engaged, whether it's giving them a lug nut or showing how little the tools work. So it's really cool, and that's a lot of what I do. If I'm walking to my car, I make sure to kind of look out for the kids, and if I see a kid waiting for my autograph, like I'm not gonna go the opposite way. I'm gonna go his way to sign his autograph. So I think a lot of the drivers are like that, and with NASCAR, you get to really be inside the sport. When you go to other sports, right, you get to get a grandstand seat and sit outside and watch it. But in some cases within this sport, you're in the mix and you're in the middle, just like everyone else. So it's really cool to see that.
Yes, I love that. That is so great. So this is my last question here. So I want to talk a little bit about legacy and accomplishments. And so, Samantha, again, Raja is technically just getting started. I mean, he's been doing so great. Not actually, but he really is. And you know that he has so far to go. And so as you think about, where he is currently and then where he's going, talk to us a little bit about just what would you like to see in regards to his legacy and his accomplishments? What makes you the most proud around those things?
Well, I'm the most proud that he's just himself, that he just moves in every circle, whether he has a camera in front of him or he's talking to, a little one who's interested or talking to the president of a team. He is consistently himself, so that's what I want that to continue. And I think for Raja's legacy, I think it's already building, that he will be a good representation for himself and also for everyone in our community, as wide and broad and diverse as our community is, that we have all of these stories. We can move into all the sports, not just people think about basketball or football, and those are amazing, and soccer and all the different sports, and NASCAR is also for us. So I think the legacy is showing up, putting in the best work, giving it your all every day, and whatever the results, you can be proud of that when you put your head on the pillow at night.
I love that. That is great. Sonia, talk to us a little bit about, LeVar's legacy and just your, what you would like to see, how proud you already are, right? And so what would that be for you?
For LeVar's legacy, I would hope people just remember him as being hardworking with a never giving up attitude, positive.
I love that. And LeVar, you get the final word. When you think about your legacy and your accomplishments, what would that be? What would that mean for you?
Yeah, I would second that. I would definitely say, hardworking and, someone that, tried to maximize every opportunity that was put in front of me on and off the racetrack. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to get involved in. Obviously, racing comes first, right? I want to be a NASCAR Cup Series champion one day, and, I work hard every day, inside the gym, the simulator, and, inside my shop to make it happen. But even outside the track, things I do, I try to maximize that as well. So just someone that, if opportunity's there, someone's going to go there and work hard and maximize it.
I love it. Well, you guys, you certainly have some young race car drivers to support LeVar Scott, Raja Karuth. Let's give it up for both of their mothers. and as well, LeVar Scott himself. You guys, check out NASCAR. We're here February through November. If you want to come to Phoenix Raceway, October 16th through the 18th. So please support us, and we will continue to support both LeVar and Raja. Thank you, guys.